Good morning, everyone. Thank you for watching our local law live today. My name is Elizabeth Ewing. I'm a staff attorney in our Paris branch of Lone Star Legal Aid. And today we have with us three other ladies, and I'm going to have them introduce you real quick, and then I'll talk about what we're going to be chatting about today. Amy with Safety, do you want to go first?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Amy Dykes and I'm an advocate at Safety Crisis Center. We are a dual domestic violence and rape crisis center.
Kaylee, would you like to? Oh, sorry.
Owens. Okay. I'm Kaylee Owens. I'm a paralegal with Lone Star Legal Aid here in the Texarkana office, and I work specifically with crime victims.
And my name is King Wong. I work in the Texarkana branch office of Lone Star Legal Aid as a staff attorney. And I've had the pleasure of working with Kaylee with victims of domestic violence as well.
Thanks, y'all. So today we are going to talk about resources in Northeast Texas for domestic violence. October, if you didn't know it, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So wear your purple, and if you see any purple ribbons, that's what Domestic Violence Awareness Month represents. Well, as far as the color goes, at least. And Northeast Texas specifically, as Amy said, we're spotlighting our Safety Crisis Center, which is Safety, and we have multiple locations in Northeast Texas. As I said, I'm a staff attorney in Paris, and we cover 7 counties, starting with Lamar, Delta, Red River, Franklin, Hopkins, Titus, and Morris. And I know that, Amy, you also cover Camp and Wood.
Mm-hmm. We're in Delta, Red River, Lamar, Camp, Morris, Titus, Franklin, Wood, and Hopkins. So we cover 9 counties, about 5,000 square miles. Big area.
Great. And King, I know that Texarkana, King and Kaylee, y'all have 2 counties in Texas, Cass and Bowie. And
That's right.
Amy, you have a sister shelter in those areas.
We do. Domestic violence prevention is in that, covers those areas.
Awesome. Well, today, like I said, we're talking about domestic violence resources. And if you're in a situation where you are in a situation of abuse, whether it's physical, mental, sexual, we're hoping to give you some resources today, or if you know someone who needs those resources to be able to reach out. This is a presentation with legal information, not legal advice. So I would encourage everyone watching, if you do have a specific legal question, please reach out to your local branch office for Lone Star Legal Aid. As I said, I'm in Paris. King and Kaylee are in Texarkana, but we have multiple other branch offices. So let's just get into it. Amy, how about just introduce us to Safety and what y'all do?
Thank you so much for having me here today, for having Safety here today. So like I was saying, we cover a large service area that's 9 counties, and we are the only dual domestic violence and sexual violence crisis center. We have many services, and some of our services are, we work with you guys a lot. We refer many clients to y'all. So we have, I made a list of all of our services because we do have a lot under our roof, but we also network with other resources in the community because we can't provide everything ourselves. We do have an emergency shelter. So we have a 24-hour hotline that can be called or texted. And I put that number in the chat room for everyone. So when someone calls that number, if they're needing shelter, emergency shelter, or a safe house, we can help them with that. It's for individuals and families who are fleeing abuse. If men are calling, men go to a motel, but it is for women and children in our shelter. We have housing advocates who assist clients in finding safe and affordable housing. So we help them through filling out applications and providing them with referrals to government programs and local organizations. But we also have a small amount of grant funding to help with emergency housing for people who are fleeing abuse. We also have counseling and support groups. So we do those. We used to only do those in person. We don't have a lot of things that we can thank COVID for, but telecounseling is a big one. So we are much more suited now with telecounseling to meet people where they are. If they couldn't come to the office, they can still receive the counseling that they're seeking. And support groups. We have support groups that are online. And we also have a support group that I do that meets face to face at our shelter. And it's one of my favorite things that I do. I love working with our clients. So we have our counseling is provided by licensed professional counselors. And then we have 2 domestic violence support groups. And we have a moving forward support group that uses the Seeking Safety curriculum. It's an evidence-based curriculum specifically for persons who are suffering from trauma, substance use disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's a present focused. So it's all about how your trauma leaches into your everyday and how you can move forward through that. We have legal advocacy and referrals because many of our clients are seeking divorces, custody, protective orders, different things. And what we do is we provide them with the support that they need. So that may mean accompanying them to court, ensuring our survivors that they don't have to navigate the legal system alone, and providing referrals for legal assistance to organizations like yours. We also have a CPS liaison. If Child Protective Services becomes involved due to so mandatory reporters, if they see that a child has been witnessed domestic violence, then they will contact CPS. That may be a school. If the police are called out to the house, the police report if there are children in the home. And so oftentimes our clients, when they're fleeing abuse for themselves and their children, they'll receive a call from CPS. And that's extra traumatizing, to what's been going on. So we have a liaison that helps them understand what's happening, helps them navigate that as well. That could be going to meetings, understanding the process, accompanying them to court, helping with supervised visitations. However we can help them, that's what we're there for. Children's advocacy. I also do children's advocacy, and I love it. So we provide our child case managers provide our families with the help that they need while they're working through the trauma that they've been experiencing, as along with all of the new things in their lives. So that may mean a new school with teachers that don't know them, that may be ARD meetings, that may be finding a math tutor, helping with homework. It's therapeutic play activities, creating safety plans with the schools, especially if there's a protective order in place, working with the families to have those conversations with the schools. One of the things that families experience when they're coming out of a domestic violence situation can be shame. They've been isolated. They didn't want people to know what was happening to them. They don't know how to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about it, to be judged. And so we can really be there to help them have these important conversations and build their support web, a net to keep them moving safer. I talked about our 24-hour crisis line. So when people call, they're not just calling for shelter. They may be calling for crisis counseling. They may need some help safety planning, right? They may need someone to provide them some support right then instead of later at a support group, because life keeps happening all around them. And again, when people have been living in a controlling situation or isolated, they may not have had the opportunities to make these decisions they weren't allowed to make these decisions when someone was controlling them, and now they're trying to. So we are there 24 hours a day to help them through and answer questions. Information, they may be looking for referrals to different things. Like if they got off work at the same time our office closed, they can still talk to someone in our shelter to find the information that they need. What else? We have pet therapy. I don't know if y'all knew that. We have a certified therapy dog. Her name is Georgia. She is amazing. And our LPCs can provide counseling with her there as well during the sessions. Excuse me. Pet therapy is not just fun and wonderful, right? To have a dog in the room with you. It's been shown to improve a client's satisfaction in their counseling experience, to improve their energy levels, their self-esteem, their mood. It decreases blood pressure, anxiety, and depression. And clients just seem to, well, we hear that they just get more from their counseling sessions when they have Georgia. She is a big Labradoodle, big, big floppy Labradoodle that is just wonderful at sensing someone's emotions and needs. If you've never had an opportunity to be around a certified therapy pet, seek one out. They're amazing animals to know. We do rape crisis intervention. That's when we go to the hospital. So we'll receive calls on our hotline from the hospital or from a sexual assault nurse examiner. Now, sexual assault nurse examiners, you may have heard them called SANEs. They go to the hospital and they do what many people, like a layman's term would be a rape kit. And that's the collecting of the evidence, the forensic interview, the exam that helps to investigate and prosecute a rape. We go to the hospital, meet the survivor there. We let them know what to expect. We are there with them. We stay with them in the exam, during the exam if they want us to. We talk to them about resources in the area. Sometimes a rape victim's home is the crime scene. We will provide them with a safe place to sleep because they may not have anyone in the area to call, or they may have someone but not be ready to talk to anybody about what happened. So we provide them with a safe place to sleep, and kind of decompress after everything that they've gone through. We also assist the nurses with filling out the crime victims compensation application so that they can focus on what they're doing. We help the client not have to, or the survivor not have to fill that out themselves and wonder what all of this means. We help with that. We do violence against women and U visa immigration services advocacy work. So we help with providing referrals and supporting survivors to RAICES, I think is the name. It's RAICES. They do a lot of that advocacy work. We have supervised visitations. We have a long list of services, don't we? We really, I'm talking a lot. A lot of times a non-custodial, when there's a domestic violence case and someone is getting a divorce, the judge will often put supervised visitation in place. And it can be very difficult for families to find supervised visitation. So we provide supervised visitation. And that's where the non-custodial parent meets with their child in a monitored setting. And our advocates that do that are also trained on what to look out for, what's appropriate, and how to help guide the non-custodial parent, because that is difficult for them as well. They are not sure often of what's allowed or what's not allowed. I always say, bring a game and a snack, because that's fun. That's something to do with your kids.
Amy,
Yes, ma'am.
you mentioned about the crime victims
Yes.
victims application that the rape victims would have to face in filling out. I'd like to introduce Kaylee and ask Kaylee to tell us more about the crime victims compensation program.
So crime victims compensation is something that was set up by the state, and it is controlled by the Attorney General's office. It is in place to help crime victims and their families with the financial burden of crime and being a crime victim. A lot of times you have crime victims, let's say domestic violence victims, they have to go to the hospital and get treated for their injuries and things like that. Well, there's a financial burden with that because medical bills are very expensive. Same thing with the SANE exam. It helps assist in payment for those types of things. There are some requirements that have to be met by the victim. They do have to report their crime to a law enforcement agency. They do have to follow through and be cooperative with the law enforcement agency, things like that. So, I mean, you do have to, a lot of times victims don't want to do that, but in order to, this program was put in place to encourage victims to come out and to get out of their situation, but also to encourage prosecution of the offenders.
What kind of crimes does the crime compensation cover?
So it covers crimes against persons. You got domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, harassment, child sexual assault, and child abuse. Elder abuse is included, robbery and kidnapping. It even covers like DUI accidents. If you were a victim in a DUI accident, it helps cover the cost of that. Things that are not covered are like property crimes, theft, things like that. It does not cover identity theft. So, but it helps cover several things that are included. It cover medical care if you have to go to the hospital to get treatment of your injuries. It helps cover counseling. A lot of times victims of crime, they have PTSD and things like that, and they need that counseling. And counseling can be costly, but this program is here to help pay for those services if you have to, if you're forced to pay for them. It helps cover loss of earnings. So if you are a victim of crime and let's say you have to, you're injured or mentally cannot work, it will cover your loss of earnings for the duration that you were out. It also covers like if you have to go to doctor's appointments or counseling appointments. It covers if you have to attend criminal justice proceedings, and sometimes criminal justice trials, they can be lengthy and can take some time to get through. So if you have to miss a week of work to be in court to testify, then it helps cover that. It also includes loss of support. And what that means is, let's say it's a domestic violence situation and you've always depended on your husband for income and your husband was the offender. It will help cover, his lost wages to help you. If you were a stay-at-home mom, something like that, and you have no income, and all of a sudden now your husband, boyfriend, whatever is in jail, well, now you need help with income. It covers child independent care. And the qualification for that is if your child, let's say, you're a victim of homicide and your family has now taken in your children, it covers dependent care for them to help pay for daycare for them, because now all of a sudden they're going to have to find care for them. It covers crime scene cleanup. It covers a funeral cost if they are a victim of crime and homicide. It covers relocation. And what that means is if you are a victim of domestic violence, stalking, or sexual assault in your home, help you relocate, and it will help pay for deposits on utility bills, your deposits on your rental if you're needing to move to a new rental. It will help for traveling expenses. It covers, movers coming in and moving your things out, and it will cover up to 3 months of your rent. That way it helps you get out of that situation and you don't have to return to the scene where everything happened. And that's just traumatizing for a lot of victims in that way.
And I have a question. When a victim moves out of the home that they shared with the abuser and they don't want to be located, is there a program that assists a victim with keeping their address confidential?
There is an address confidentiality program that's also offered through the AG's, the Attorney General's office. And what that is you can apply for the program through the office, and they will set up a PO box there in Austin, Texas. And you can and this PO box has your name on it. It's where all your mail will go to. You can even have that PO box set up on your driver's license, on your utility bills, things like that, so that you cannot be found. That the person, if they were to get out of jail or anything like that, they cannot look you up and find the address. If they look you up, they're going to see that PO box. And what happens is the mail will be mailed to that PO box. The AG's office, the people running that program will go through your mail, and then they will then forward all your mail to you. They're the only ones that know your address, and they will forward your mail to you from that PO box to your address that you're at. So it just helps, another way for victims to keep their information confidential, and helps to get out of that situation and to not be found.
And
Haley,
if
I have a question. I know you said for address confidentiality, individuals will apply through the Attorney General's office. What about crime victims compensation? How does one go about applying for that program?
So a lot of times, like I said, you have to report the crime, and a lot of times, like the district attorney's office, they do have victims liaisons in their offices that help them with that process. But also, like, if you don't feel comfortable using that person, you can reach out to your local violence organization or aid, and we have set up places, people that can help fill out the application as well. It's easier to have someone else help you through the process, because the paperwork, it's a stack of paperwork, and if you mess up on 1 or 2 questions, you'll be denied and have to go through the process again. So I recommend having an advocate in place to help you fill out that application. And they will, once you've applied, the AG's office will communicate with the law enforcement agency that you have reported the crime to make sure that you are cooperating and that you are following through on that end, because if you're not, then you won't be eligible for crime victims compensation.
And with the paperwork, if somebody can't find, where can somebody find a local advocate to help them with the paperwork?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
We can help with that too. We have specially trained advocates who can help someone with filling out a crime victims compensation application, because it's easily that thick. It's a lot.
You can apply online on your own as well, but you do have to provide police reports, and if you have a protective order and you have to supply that, you have to supply a lot of documents to back up what you're saying. But if you use an advocate, you can kind of bypass that. If you have an advocate in place, they kind of see that as, oh, you really do need help. And obviously, if they're helping you fill it out, and there's something going on behind the scenes, so then they will reach out, after you have an advocate help you fill it out, they will reach out themselves to the law enforcement agency and just make sure everything is on the open up as far as that goes.
I see that we have a question from the comment section. The question reads, is there also aid in navigating hospitals' charitable funds? that could supplement the victim funds. Kaylee or Amy, do y'all know? that-
Usually, the hospitals have their own social workers,
Yeah.
and they usually can help them if there's any charitable funds within the hospital. You can request a social worker there while you're in the hospital to come and visit you and help you with those sort of things. But that would be something that someone within the hospital would have to help you with.
That's what I was thinking too. Now, if you were there with an advocate, that advocate could help make that meet happen, right? But that definitely comes from within the hospital. And fortunately, most hospitals have a medical social worker that's going to help with that stuff.
Also, just to let people know that resources, Google your resources, look up. We live in the information age. There's tons of information out there. You just simply have to type it in the Google search bar. So, you know, I know that people are concerned about their search histories, maybe their phones, stalking through the Find My Friends, like on iPhones. I don't know for Android users what it would be called. But there are fixes out there, whether it's there is domestic violence within the home and you're a tenant. There are protections out there. There's protections via protection order. With our domestic violence shelters in a lot of our Texas counties, if one can't help you, call another. You just have to seek out help. And if you know someone who is going through abuse in their home, it's important for all of us to know that there are resources out there to be able to help our neighbors.
And domestic violence, it's not just a bruise, right? It's not a black eye. It is physical violence, but physical violence could be holding someone against their will, not allowing them to leave when they're trying to leave, parking behind their car in the garage. There are so many different types of physical abuse. It could be throwing things around you, shooting around you. Excuse me. But then there's verbal abuse and psychological abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, which is keeping someone from accessing their funds, not allowing them to have choices in how the money is spent, taking their money away from them, stealing their identity, coercing debt out of them, opening credit cards in their names, in their children's names. There's so many different types of abuse. And stalking is illegal in 50 states, and nearly every rape and domestic violence case involves stalking. Stalking was a part of what was happening. The same with financial abuse. Many people can't identify financial abuse, right? So we have to raise awareness about it. But 98% of domestic violence involves financial abuse as well. When people say, well, why didn't they leave? There are so many reasons besides leaving being the most dangerous time for someone to leave. There's a report, and I don't have it at my fingertips, but it was from the Department of Justice, where they interviewed men who had murdered their wives. And nearly every single time there was domestic violence involved and someone was trying to separate themselves. So when we see that someone is in a situation, whether it is verbal or physical or sexual, because it's usually all of those things to some degree, we have to listen to them. We have to believe them, not judge them, change from the what's wrong with you to the what's happened to you, how can I help you mentality, where people feel safe to accept our help instead of, oh, I'm fine, nothing's wrong, because help is out there. If anyone has any questions, if they're not sure about what's going on, they can just call and talk to us and we can help them. But like you were saying, Elizabeth, Google Google can tell you so much. Digital abuse, that's a form stalking. You can't get away from people because your phone's everywhere you go. You can be tracked, you can be hacked, people can pretend to be you to other people. So we see all of these different types of abuse, and are always happy, we're happy to sit down with someone and listen to what their story is and help them identify what has been happening to them, because they may not understand the depth of what is happening to them. A lot of times we downplay when bad things are happening to try to, because we want to be strong and move through it, but we also want to take very seriously what's happening. And we're just always there. Not knowing, fear of the unknown is a huge thing that stops people in their tracks. And so identifying what's happening, identifying your rights, identifying your needs, identifying how to be safer can really empower someone into getting away or making changes in their lives for themselves to be safer. I'm very passionate about it. I'm a survivor and a social worker, and I'm just so proud to be able to help survivors in our community learn more about what is out there, because it's very scary to be isolated and not know. And it's very scary to Google and worry that someone's going to check your Google history and what's going to happen when they find that out. So you can call us, we'll talk.
And the point of this conversation today is that the help is out there.
Yes.
You just have to reach out to us.
Mhm.
So just call someone to help. And also, just as a reminder, Google history and whatnot. If you come to Lone Star Legal Aid's website, there is a safety exit feature where it will immediately exit out of our website and go straight to Google, www.google.com.
Ours does too. Ours does that too.
And I think you can find ours at the top right of our website. So again, the help is out there. You just have to reach out, and that is the hard part of trusting someone, trusting that they are there to help and not to hurt. But that's what we're here for. I'm glad October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
And that there are resources out there like Amy and Kaylee and King doing protective orders and whatnot. So just to channel Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, you just have to look for the helpers.
And also when you press the escape button or the quick exit button on our website, it clears the browsing history. So the abuser won't know that you've gone to our site or any other site. So
That's awesome. That makes such a difference. We can't make people 100% safe, but we sure can make things safer.
All right. Well, does anyone have any last remarks before we hop off?
I want to say, I put it in the chat for everyone to see, but we are a nonprofit organization, and all of the services that we offer at Safety are provided at no charge. So persons who are interested in talking to us, our counseling services are free. A person only has to have experienced family violence or sexual violence at any time during their life. It doesn't have to have been within a certain time frame for them to qualify for our services. So if people have been worried about a fee for that, for what we do, there's not one, and they can call and talk to us anytime.
I also put in the chat for Bowie and Cass residents, the website for domestic violence prevention as a resource to those residents as well.
Thank you so much for inviting us to come today. We appreciate what you guys do so much, and we couldn't do a lot of what we do, we couldn't do it without y'all. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Amy and Kaylee. I guess we don't have anything else to add. So if you need us, call Lone Star Legal Aid Central Intake or one of the branch offices, and we'll get you where you need to be. If you are in a situation that you need some help or counseling or anything that Amy's talked about today, we've also should have her hotline in our comment section of this.
Mhm. 903-575-9999.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.